I like how you can actually...
Hey guys, welcome to another one of our live session. We are here to answer all your questions about traveling in New Zealand, anything to do about exploring this wonderful, amazing outdoorsy country. And you can ask us anything and we'll be helping you, guiding you through planning your trip to New Zealand, because we kind of are the experts of traveling in New Zealand. But Laura, why are we the experts?
Well, this is Robin and I'm Laura, and we're the team behind NZPocketGuide.com, which is New Zealand's largest travel guide, because it literally has thousands and thousands of articles to help you plan your trip to New Zealand.
It's not a trap.
It's not a tourist trap. Your trip to New Zealand. Obviously, when the borders are open, you can finally come and travel. But there's no such thing as over planning, right? So our website is there to answer all your questions about traveling in New Zealand, whether you're doing a family road trip or a budget trip or even luxury. We cover all those different types of travel styles on NZPocketGuide.com. So that's probably the best place to go get your questions answered. But if you're not really into reading, we also do this live Q&A session every single Sunday at 8 a.m. New Zealand time. And if you want to know when the time is for our next scheduled sessions for you in your time zone, we do have a handy link in the description below, which tells you just that. Otherwise, you can always click subscribe, click on the notification bell, and you will get notifications when our next upcoming...
I just realized I forgot to point it.
We'll do that at the end.
Cool.
Subscribe, notification bell, and you will get a notification when our next live sessions are coming up. But if you do miss our live sessions, we also take questions in the comment section of any of our YouTube videos. And we also go through those during this live session as well. But ask away on the live chat right now, and that's the best place to get your questions answered.
Let's get started. So as usual, we're going to read every one of your questions and comments. So don't be afraid if we talk a little too long. We're still going to read what you guys said. And we're going to start with Miss Fortune that says, may I ask if you know when the Essential Skills Work Visa reopen? So the visa application and processing will not reopen until there is a firm border opening date. Immigration New Zealand is not going to issue visas to people that are not able to come to New Zealand within a few weeks or months from their visa being issued. So for this reason, until Immigration New Zealand actually has the go-ahead from the New Zealand government saying, well, the borders are going to be fully reopened by that date, then they're going to start reissuing visas. In the meantime, they're just on a standby and are working on processing visas of people which are currently here in New Zealand. So until we have border opening dates, which are set and official, which none of them are just yet, they're not going to be working on visas. Martina Sten, which is from Northern Germany, if I remember correctly, says, hello all together. Hope you had a good week. We had a fantastic week, actually. Yeah. Thank you very much for asking. We really enjoyed our week. It was a good week. Mohan Diva says, hello. How are you doing, Mohan? Thank you for joining us. Michael Connell says, good morning, guys. I hope your week has gone well. I've been making my way through the gap video. The weather in the HBC isn't the greatest at the moment. Going to bucket down. Oh, no. It's actually not too bad on the North Island, to be quite honest. We're actually having... I think it's going to be all right today. I think. Yeah, today
actually looks windy, like the first sort of sunny day we've had all week. It's been like on and off rain the whole time. So,
but to be fair, it's a New Zealand weather, and it's really windy right now. So it's probably going to change. You know how it is. It's 4 seasons in one day, and that's how we love it. Mohan Diva says, when will the border open in New Zealand? So there have been some development this week, and actually we will be releasing a video with an update of that at some point this coming week. So we will record that at some point today. There has been an announcement for the Cook Island that said that by the end of March, the border will reopen and the Cook Island will be the first country to reopen. So nothing before the end of March, that's guaranteed for almost no one, so not happening. The New Zealand Prime Minister say that they will reevaluate some options by mid-next year. So mid-next year, I think it's June, July. So the reevaluation of options will happen in June, July. So we are going to be pushing almost all our prediction back even more a few months. We don't think that the New Zealand border will reopen until the last few months of 2021, if not 2022. So that's not good news, but that's kind of like what we currently hear. So we will have like more specific predictions in an upcoming video this week. So make sure to stay subscribed. By the way, guys, if you do find all the information that we give you super useful, you may want to hit the like button. It's a great way to say to YouTube that, what we do is pretty useful. We have 19 of you guys joining us right now. So with Laura and I, that makes it, 21 people right now.
Oh, we're counting ourselves now.
And we got 4 likes. So I think we should go up to 21 likes. Anyway, so far, I think that, 2021 is going to be almost an entire write-off as well. And so we will start advising people to plan for literally the last few months of 2021 or, 2022. Obviously, we love to, kind of be wrong, and I genuinely want to come in January and know like, okay, the border will open in only a couple of months, but I just don't think that's going to happen. Seeing just the time that it has been happening, for example, with the Cook Island, it took, there's been months that we've been talking about opening a bubble with the Cook Islands, and finally they sent a delegation of New Zealand government officials to go check things out in the Cook Island, and then the Cook Island sent a delegation here. And yet, it's still not going to happen before the end of March 2021. We are talking 4 months away from now. And the delegation has been sent. Most of it has been done already. And that's going to be the first country to reopen. So until then, I think, like if you take that as a time frame consideration right here, it will take a while to reopen for the rest of the world. Obviously, I'm just going to make that very clear. All that is just speculation. There is no official information right now. It is just our gut feeling, and that's all we're talking about here, right? So things may change. We want to be wrong. All right, but I hope that gives you a little bit of context, Mohan. Prem Anando says, hi, Prem, how are you doing? And we also have Girish that says, big fan, shout out, please. Hey, Girish. Shout out. Here you go. We have Anthony Comstock that says Morena from California, USA. Morena means good morning in Maori, which is the local indigenous language. Merv Y says, hello, what do you think about the working holiday visa? When New Zealand will let people to come from Turkey to the New Zealand? I am waiting for this as a 30 years old. I hope they will open the border before I turn 31. Well, I hope that you listen to what I was saying to Mohan, but so one of the things that also is kind of something that we know is that in New Zealand, the working holiday visa is always kind of an afterthought, right? It's the last kind of thing that gets kind of revamped and reopened and all that. So for example, we have a big need right now of people to come and pick our fruit and vegetables because, it's the season right here in New Zealand, and there is a big shortage of seasonal workers, which usually are constituted from a lot of people on working holiday visa and gap years. But Immigration New Zealand has focused, instead of focusing on working holiday visas, they are focused on something called an RSC visa, which is a seasonal worker visas. And they prioritize more those kind of visas than working holiday visa. So the working holiday visa right now is a little bit on the down low, and I don't know if that's going to be one of the things that's going to reopen first. So brace yourself for, in our humble opinion, maybe kind of a long wait. And I don't really like the fact that we're giving you bad news today. So I'm just going to take a second, Merv. So after I gave you some bad news, let's give you guys a good news. If you guys remember, in the last couple of weeks, we asked you guys to vote for the name of a new kiwi, of a kiwi bird, because this kiwi bird was nameless. Well, guess what? Your vote came in, and there was over 90 votes, and this is the name that came through. I'm not going to say it, Laura. What's the name of the kiwi bird?
It's Weet-Bix.
Boom! So here, you guys voted for Weet-Bix as a name. So
that's on you guys, not us.
So I gave him a name tag. I'll hide true to my words. I told you guys, you come up with some names, you vote for it. The one you vote, he get this name. So I made him a name tag, despite the fact that most of you know I disagree with that name. I gave it to him.
Yeah.
All right. Would you like to read what Straker says?
Okay. So Straker Hoffman says, "Hey guys, back again to watch you guys from Tahiti. What do you think about the news about the vaccine which has been developed? Will it help applying for visas later on? A future requirement maybe?" So as far as the future requirements, perhaps, but I feel like New Zealand is not going to let
people travel within New Zealand without New Zealanders being kind of vaccinated first. I think that's going to be more the approach that they're going to be taking, seeing the way they're approaching, like, the information that they get about the vaccines and all these kind of things. The good news, though, is that vaccinating a population of 5 million people is way easier than vaccinating a population of like 380 million in the US or those kind of massive numbers elsewhere in the world. So we will have vaccination sorted out in New Zealand in a much swifter way, I feel, than many other countries. So I feel like there is some light at the end of the tunnel, but I don't think that it's going to be like just the answer to all issues as well, because there is also the fact that New Zealand may not want to get people to come to New Zealand and have COVID there, and New Zealand have to cure them and everything, because we simply don't have the capacity. So there's going to be those considerations as well. And also the vaccine has not been approved in New Zealand yet, and New Zealand is kind of like the way the Prime Minister was speaking about the vaccine last week, from what I've understood, and again, it's just my personal understanding, right? It was kind of like, well, the vaccine is, we don't have the time to do all the regulation and everything, but we're kind of in a good position in New Zealand because we're quite isolated and we have COVID under control. So we have the time to do all the check and to see how other countries are dealing with the vaccine and how the vaccine is working in other countries before deploying it in New Zealand. So what we think is going to happen is that they're going to give a few months to other countries to deploy the vaccine, see how that works there. And once they know how that works there and they learn about the side effects and all those kind of things, then they're going to decide to work on regulatory approval here in New Zealand. Then they're going to deploy it, and then they're going to be happy with letting more people in. So it's going to be a lengthy process. It really genuinely feels that the New Zealand government is quite happy with how New Zealand is faring right now, and they will actually take a very, very, very safe and slow approach to the whole thing. Clay Bryan says, good morning, guys. I wish I could say the same about the weather down here. So he's in Dunedin, which is in the South Island. And but no, it's not a surprise. So I bet in Dunedin it's raining.
Yeah, is it raining, or is it just super windy, or is it just cold?
I think it's
or
both.
Maybe it's all of those.
Yeah. Michael Connell say, good morning to Weet-Bix too, and happy celebrating. Yes. Did you vote for Weet-Bix, Michael? Did you betray me and vote for Weet-Bix? Karin Alami says, hi guys, nice to watch you live again. Oh, thank you very much for joining us for another week, Karin. That's awesome. Adil Mula says, Morena. Thank you for joining us again, Adil. That's awesome. Beverly Gibson says, howdy, with a cowboy hat.
Howdy.
I love it. Adrian, deleted his message, so I'm not going to read it. Abhishek says, when a partnership visa application will start for student spouses? So it's the same thing for, it's not a pleasant thing to talk about too much, but it's the same thing. We know there are a lot of family separation and there is a lot of, couple separation and all that happening right now. But Immigration New Zealand has been told, don't process visas for people that are not able to come to New Zealand. So yes, there may be some, more lenient exception happening. When we do our videos about the border openings, we talk quite often about the fact that, okay, if you are an essential workers for like selected industry, then they can let you. So, those kind of little conditions may start kind of be a little bit more lenient as we go. But I don't think that just a simple spouse visa is going to be, is going to be something that you can get very easily in 2021. But, fingers crossed we're wrong. I genuinely want to be wrong, right? Yeah. But yeah. Clay is cracking up. Merv says, thank you, all the best. You're very welcome, Merv. Abhishek says, love you guys a lot from India. Nice. I love all the emojis. There's a lot of love happening right now in the live chat. I love that. Guys, keep sending emojis, keep hitting likes. You guys are awesome. Clay says, yep, to all the above. So it's so in Dunedin right now, guys, if you want a weather update from Dunedin, apparently it is raining, windy, and cold. Knowing that Clay has do you have 3 kids, right? I think you have 3 kids. That is kind of a tall order. By the way, guys, I don't know if you noticed, but yesterday we did post a video with the story of a lovely guy from India, which is called Rahul, and that's his story coming to New Zealand, what he likes about his life in New Zealand, and all that. So it's kind of an interesting watch if you guys are interested. And I'm looking for some more people to talk with, so people which are in New Zealand. So you can be a New Zealander like Clay, which I've already chat with him on Facebook. So we may have him as a guest soon. But if you are in New Zealand and you want to chat about what you love about New Zealand, give some insiders tips or some stuff like that. I'd love to have a sit down with you and just chat about, about either your story coming to New Zealand or what you like about New Zealand. So it's kind of a series of like real people of New Zealand I called. And so if you guys are interested, flick me a message on Facebook and we'll set up a time to chat together. It doesn't take much time. It's probably about half an hour.
Yeah.
And Pool Lovers says, have you heard about safety service roads situated in Hamilton? No, I don't really know what you're talking about right now. I'm not sure.
We haven't.
Yes. All right. So while you guys are coming up with some more questions right here in the live chat, we're going to go with some questions that we received throughout the week. Laura, would you like to read the questions we received?
Absolutely. So this is from Arthur's Cow on YouTube. Saying, Kia ora, Robin and Laura. I am taking the family to Stewart Island just after Christmas and would love to get your thoughts on what to do with kids there. They are 8 and 10 years old and don't mind the outdoors at all. Thanks for all you do. Cheers.
All right, so we're going to be talking about things to do with kids on Stewart Island. And on NZPocketGuide.com, there is a beautiful article.
Whoops.
Oh, I click on an ad.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, on NZPocketGuide.com right here, there is an article about 10 things to do with kids in Stewart Island. We both really do love Stewart Island, and there is a ton of things to do, especially if your kids are kind of, do like the outdoors, which it looks like Arthur's Calves Kids. You got to love YouTube's nicknames.
His calves.
Arthur's Calves do like. So let's go over, maybe 6 or 7 of our favorite things to do with kids in Stewart Island, starting with checking out the birds on Ulva Island.
Oh, nice. So once you've made the journey to Stewart Island, there's an extra journey that's well worth taking from Stewart Island, which is just a 5-minute boat ride to Ulva Island. And Ulva Island is a protected sanctuary for bird life. It doesn't have any predators on there, which means that the native New Zealand bird life can thrive there, and it really does thrive there. The whole island itself is like alive with bird song, and you'll see lots of different types of bird, including, if you're really lucky, a kiwi bird, because in Stewart Island, it's one of the only places in New Zealand where you're likely to see kiwi birds in the wild, but also the kiwi birds are actually out in the daytime because they're actually nocturnal birds. But in Stewart Island, they seem to hang about until midday. So, but the really good thing about Ulva Island, if you're traveling with family, is that the walking trails around the island are super short. There's lots of different options, and they're all really easy. It's mostly flat trails, so you can achieve it easily with all ages, basically, as long as you can't take a stroller on there or anything, but if you have a baby backpack, if you've got infants, then that's usually easy enough to go on. Otherwise, ages 8 to 10 can easily walk the trails as well.
Yes. And if I was to give you a tip for Ulva Island, because that's hands down our favorite things to do with kids in Stewart Island, like for sure, right? So I think that, Arthur, when you're going to go to Stewart Island, you've got to go to Ulva Island. But if I want to give you a tip, I would say just kind of brief your kids a little bit before you go there. Explain to them that you're going to want to see birds. So you're going to, they're going to need to be a little quiet. So the more quiet, the less you're going to scare the birds. So just kind of tell them, explain them kind of like what the game of kind of bird watching is, which is kind of like stay quiet and you get super close to the birds.
Yeah.
And you will, honestly, if you literally just simply walk, you don't even have to kind of walk kind of skittishly. You walk normally, but you stay quiet, you will be within arm length of birds.
Yeah.
And that's what's really amazing about it. So, yeah.
Cool. Good tip.
So, yeah, that's definitely one of our favorite things to do in Stewart Island. Number 2, there is a beach called Bathing Beach, which is really not hard to go to.
Yeah, so Stewart Island has loads of really amazing beaches, but one of the sort of most picturesque ones that's really nice to go with family, and that is also closest to Oban, which is the main or only town of Stewart Island, is Bathing Beach. And to get there, it's only about a 10-minute walk. It is a little bit uphill to get up the cliffs and around back down to Bathing Beach, but 8 and 10-year-old can definitely achieve that. And yeah, it's just a quick walk, which we do have details exactly on the directions on this article that we mentioned, the 10 things to do in Stewart Island with kids, which is there's a link below apparently. So yeah, And yeah, it's very easy to get to. And once you get there, you have a beautiful golden sand beach, and the water is like super clear, super turquoise. It makes you feel like you're on some sort of like tropical island, despite it actually being classed as a subantarctic island. So although the water is a little bit nippy, and it might be nice to just go for a little bit of a paddle, but probably not a full-on swim. But it's a good place to go and do whatever you like to do at the beach, whether it's build sandcastles, go for a stroll, or go for a paddle.
And Damien, right here on the live chat, stated that Stewart Island is really underappreciated place in New Zealand, and he doesn't know why. I know why. It's because it's just a little too south, a little too far for people, but it's absolutely wonderful to visit. And we advise everybody to get there. All right, number 3, there is some family-friendly walks on Stewart Island around the town of Auburn, and there is the Fuchsia Walk and the Raroa Reserve.
Yeah, so the Fuchsia Walk is really easy to access from Auburn town centre itself. It's just sort of a little bit toward the back of the town, which is very small. It will be very easy to get to. And this takes you through beautiful fuchsia forest before getting to a reserve, which is kind of like it's a bit of like a grassy area. And then on the other side of this grassy area, you go into some native forest. And that's a really good place to actually go and see more birds as well. If you're just, there's a lot of birds on Stewart Island. And a bird you'll see often on the island is a kaka, which is quite a large, they call it a bush parrot. So it's like a large parrot. That's what they say. And yeah, it's a large parrot, and it's quite cheeky. It will come, they're not usually afraid of humans. They'll come down and say hello and probably peck a few things, like try and peck your backpacks or anything. So, but that's a really...
And if you drop your sandwich, it's gone.
Yeah.
I just want to point that out.
Are you speaking from experience?
Yes.
So, so it's the Fuchsia Walk and what was the name of the second one?
Raroa Reserve Track.
The Raroa Reserve Track, which actually, that track takes you to a beach, which you can either return back the same way, or you can follow the roads back to Auburn, so you can do a bit of a loop there. And don't worry, the roads aren't busy whatsoever. So they actually do feel like walking trails.
All right, so number 4 on our list, if you can afford, something a little bit more expensive, it's a scenic cruise. There are quite a lot of options for scenic cruises around Stewart Island, or around and in Stewart Island almost. Yeah,
so there's actually quite a lot, lot of options when it comes to cruises, and it's not like big boats. They're usually quite small, like small sort of speed boats. A couple of companies that we can mention is Rakiura Charters, there's Rakiura Adventures, but there's really a ton to choose from, and it's good to do a bit of homework to see which one's the best for you. But there's lots of different options. They can take you on scenic cruises to see large seabirds like albatross, or they can take you to historic places like where a whaler's station used to be, for instance, or they can take you down freshwater river, which we do have a video on when we did our coast to coast walk on Stewart Island. We do have videos on the channel of a lot of the activities that we're mentioning, so you can go check that out. And the freshwater river is a river that changes with the tide, so that's really interesting to see. And also there's an evening cruise where you can take your own food and drink as well. So if you want to have a more relaxing cruise where it's quite a lot, this is one of the larger boats and the kids can run around on the boat as well. That's with Rakiura Adventures. There's that option too.
Yes. And one of the good things about Stewart Island, from my experience, that the waters don't tend to be too choppy around there. So especially if you do the one, obviously in the river, the water's not too choppy. So that should be good for most of the kids.
Yeah, so that's closer to Stewart Island, but that's not mentioning the ferry journey.
No, the ferry journey is different. Yeah, the ferry journey can get choppy. All right, so speaking of tours, so we've just talked about, cruise tours. There are also some driving tours, some driven tours. Someone will drive you around and show you some point of interest. So if you basically want the kids to be entertained by someone else than you, there is that option too.
Yeah, so there are land tours as well, which will take you around the small road network that's around Stewart Island, and they'll take you to interesting natural sites. They'll take you to historical sites as well, and they usually last about 2 hours. So it's a good option to do if you're going to Stewart Island Island just for the day, just taking the ferry there and the ferry back later on in the day, and you want to do sort of a quick activity, that's a really good option. Or if it's raining, because it's New Zealand, the rain comes and goes. But if you happen to be in Stewart Island when the weather's not so good, and you don't want to be walking out in the rain, then these driving tours are a really good option. We do have a list on the website of all the different driving tours that there are, but there are really quite a lot. So it's a good idea to check out the link below to our article on the 10 things to do in Stewart Island with kids, and that'll have all the details down there.
All right. So speaking of rainy day, if you want something, a good rainy day activity for kids in Stewart Island, or if you want something a bit more educational, there is a museum on Stewart Island.
There is, yes, the Rakiura Museum. They've actually just done a new building for it. So it's quite a modern building that does stand out in the town of Oban. But in there, you get to see a whole bunch of relics and learn loads of different stories about the island, which has had a history of all sorts of different types of industries. And also they have different traditions on the island, like mutton birding and that sort of thing, and fishing. And also it tells you a lot about the flora and fauna of the island as well. So yeah, it's a good place to go. It's quite cheap to get in. I think it's around $10 for adults and cheaper for children. I think it might be even free for children. Not 100% sure, but we do have those details on the article as well. But that's also a good rainy day activity to just sort of have a quick look around and do something that's quite quiet. Here
you go. So there is about 6 or 7 things to do with kids in Stewart Island. There is much more in the link below, which is a link to the 10 things to do with kids in Stewart Island. It's on NZPocketGuide.com. If you find this useful, make sure to hit like. It's a great way for you to freely, for free reward all our hard work. Not even freely, because I'm forcing you to do that. If you want to subscribe, you can subscribe as well. And yeah, plenty of other videos on the channel. So check us out. Yeah. All right, let's go back to the live chat. Where were we? Yugal Okefe. I'm pretty sure I destroyed your name. I'm very sorry about that. But he or she asks, when do you think New Zealand will start issuing visas in 2021 for Europeans? Laura, do you want to take this one?
Sorry, my voice is a bit croaky.
All right, so we were talking about it at the beginning of the video, but basically, Immigration New Zealand do not issue visas to people that cannot readily come to New Zealand. That's just kind of not what they do, right? So right now, the borders are closed and there is no end in sight for like when will it be reopened. So for this reason, Immigration New Zealand is not interested in issuing visas to anyone outside of New Zealand. So they're currently working on, on the visas of people which are, stranded in New Zealand, or people which are currently in New Zealand and just kind of, getting their residency or anything like that. So they're working on people currently in New Zealand. That helps them a lot with their backlog. So right now, they're not working on any kind of visas for anyone outside of New Zealand, and they're not going to start processing any of that. So until we have an opening date for the borders, which is firm, set, and official, then Immigration New Zealand is not going to start processing things. We were talking a little bit at the beginning of the video, so you may want to kind of rewind that and address it already a couple of times in the last half an hour we've been live, so you can just rewatch the whole thing and I talk about it for most of the time. Would you like some water, Laura?
I've been having some water.
Okay. It looks like you have something. So it looks like New Zealand is not going to consider like a bit wider kind of border opening until mid 2021, and on mid 2021 they're just going to start evaluating how and when they want to open things. So late 2021 to 2022 is more the likelihood of when things will happen. And it's obviously just a gut feeling. It's just a prediction. We have a full video with all that kind of information that's going to come out this week, where we're going to give you more info on what we think will happen, when things will open and all that. So just stay tuned on the channel, and yeah, when information is official, we are going to tell you guys it's official. But when it's just a prediction and gut feeling, we will also make that clear as well, because we don't want to misinform you at all. So Damien West was actually talking about Stewart Island while we were talking about Stewart Island. Do you have another reason of why you think Stewart Island is such an underrated place? Like, People don't go there.
I think it's just, there's maybe not that much information about Stewart Island. It's one of those places that's, it's kind of classed a little bit as a hidden gem. But also...
We have like so many guides of Stewart Island on the website, though.
Yeah, but not enough people obviously read it.
Okay, guys, check out and share one of our NZ Pocket Guide to Stewart Island. When we have a 10 things to do with kids or family guide and everything, share one of them. Help Stewart Island. Be cool.
Yeah, but it's also because it is an island that's right just south of the South Island. If people are traveling New Zealand for a very short time, they might not have time to get over there. And,
I guess it's a big detour if you travel for like under 2 weeks. You don't have time to get there.
So that might be a reason as well.
Yeah. But it's definitely underrated. It's one of well, actually, Laura has dubbed. So Damien, I don't know if you're really aware about what we did when we started this channel. But when we started this channel, we did something called New Zealand's Biggest Gap Year, in which we took a challenge to tackle 365 activities all around New Zealand in only 365 days. So that was a ton of things to do. And there's a video of every single day on the channel. There's a playlist you can start playing, and there's more than 365 videos playing, and so you waste an entire week of your life. But you don't necessarily have to do that if you want to hear us tell you what were our favorite activities. And when we actually did a video with kind of like 10 lessons we learned or favorite activities during New Zealand's Biggest Gap Year and everything, Laura's favorite activity in the entirety of New Zealand after doing close to 400 activities in the country was
Ulva Island.
Here you go, which we just talked about, and is just off the shore of Stewart Island. So we do really love Stewart Island. All right, Striker Hoffman says, also, I wanted to send a letter to my family, which is a tradition, but since everything is closed, will they receive it, or even the mail post blocked too? So no, mail definitely passes through, so you can definitely send that. I don't know if you didn't miss out the cut date. I think the cut date was last week though, or at least for New Zealander sending mail overseas to arrive before Christmas. I think the cut date was last week. So you may want to do that sooner rather than later, Striker, to make sure that they are getting their letter. But no, mail definitely passed. We did receive some parcel. We do receive some mail. We don't receive fan mail, but
we've received some Christmas cards.
Yes, Laura received some Christmas card and everything. So it passes through. But yeah, no. For people, that are carrying the virus, then that's when things are closed. But for mail and goods and everything, we do still get stuff. Nabonil says, how good is Singapore Airline for flying to Auckland from Singapore? I did take Singapore Airline once, and it's a really nice airline. It's quite fancy. Obviously, airline meals are what airline meals are. So, but to be fair, out of all the airline meals I had, it was one of the best. Actually, it's quite nice. I found their prices to be actually quite good. I tend to mostly choose when I choose a flight, and I think we talked about it a little bit in the video we published this week, which was ways to get cheap airline tickets to New Zealand. But I have mostly two criteria when I pick flights to New Zealand, right? I first try to pick something that's not going to be too long. So if it's something which has 3 legs with a stayover of 12 hours and everything, it's nonsense. I'm not going through that. So I'm usually getting something which is quite swift so I don't get too tired. Or I get something which is just going to one destination and I stay there for like 2-3 days and then I fly again to New Zealand. So let's say, it goes to Dubai and I stay there, or it goes to Hong Kong and I hang out in Hong Kong and then you come to New Zealand. So, that's kind of like, that's more kind of my way of choosing. And the second criteria will be price. And obviously, I want to get something quite cheap. So Singapore Airline actually has surprised me because it is, really good service and everything. It's well above, some airlines which brand themselves are really good, like Emirates and everything, which I usually tend to be disappointed by most of Emirates. Customer service, food, people I don't like Emirates, but they usually kind of on par, on par with prices and sometimes lower, but their service is way better. So I think Singapore Airline is a pretty good airline. So yeah, as long as you do find something again that suits your price and that doesn't take you all around the world to get your way to New Zealand. I really hate when there's just so much faffing in between.
When there's there's 3 stops and you're going the most crazy routes in order to get there. It's always a good idea to compare different routes to get to New Zealand as well. And usually you can I feel like the more direct you can make it, usually the easier it is. Because
Yes.
even though you think you can handle like a super long flight, sometimes you really wish that you'd taken a shorter route once you actually get into the process.
Yeah, it's definitely
Yeah.
Long haul flight take a physical toll on you, so
Yeah.
you may want to make it as easy as possible on yourself.
Mm.
But when it comes to just rating Singapore Airlines, we do like it. I hope that answers your question, Abonil. If it does, hit like. If you find that useful, hit like. And otherwise, just keep asking questions. We're here to answer. As you guys know, when we do those kind of live sessions, we read every comment in the section. So if you want to shout out, like who wanted a shout out? I already forgot. Girish.
Yeah.
Girish was like, just give me a shout out. It's okay. But if you do have some more substantial questions, we're very happy to go ahead and answer those as well. All right, so we have Cashan. Would you like to read what Cashan said? Because he's addressing you.
Oh, yes. He says, Ma'am, please talk about the visa procedure for partner visas in New Zealand.
Before we talk about that, when was the last time you were called ma'am?
Never. This is a first.
I love that. This is so formal.
Yeah. So, well, like Robin has been saying a few times during this live session, if you do want to rewind to get a better worded answer, you can you can hear what Robin has to say about it. But basically, first of all, the borders aren't officially open in New Zealand. So it's more like the different types of visas available to people that are overseas will only start to be considered, or the applications will be open only when the borders are open and people can actually start coming to New Zealand. Right now, Immigration New Zealand isn't processing visas basically they're not processing most type of visas. It's only for people that are currently in New Zealand that they're processing visas at the moment, or people that are New Zealand citizens or New Zealand residents. So that means that just the processing just isn't really happening at the moment. So there's been no official announcements as of yet. So it's just a case of waiting for checking the Immigration New Zealand website regularly, which is immigration.govt.nz.
And the good thing as well is on that website, you'll be able to learn also what the partner visa process entails and what information you need to have and all that. So it's you have some time to do your research. So go on that website and start.
And you have time to get prepared and to understand what sort of information you're going to be required to provide for your visa application.
Striker Hoffman says, you guys just brighten up my day. You don't realize how happy I am. Thank you guys. For real though. Oh, that's awesome.
Nice.
But you've got to start writing your Christmas cards right now and sending it right now. As I said, I think that you need to send them as soon as possible if you want to hope that it will arrive before Christmas, because we are literally 12 days from Christmas right now, guys. I don't know if you realize that, but we are just 12 days from Christmas, or at least here in New Zealand, since we are the 13th. So just know that things are going to start going real fast. And on top of it, and that's worldwide, and like COVID or no COVID, right? The mail centers get an extra, increasingly huge amount of mail and parcels and everything to process around that time of the year. You know, they are the real Santa Claus. It does exist. No, it does. Santa obviously does exist. I'm sorry, but
there could be kids watching, Robin.
No, I feel so guilty now. But yeah, so they always have an increased amount of volumes there. So that also means that usually there is a little bit of delay. So 12 days for New Zealand is is quite cutting it short. So get on writing, Striker. Wasantha. We know Danny says, when will you think?
Probably never.
No, it hurts. We don't do that.
I think there's probably an end to this question that hasn't been composed just yet.
Feel free to finish your question and we'll answer it. Summit Avaya says, hey there. Hey, hi. Summit, how are you doing today? Milandino Physio says, when will the border open for students? Is it possible for July intake? My strong advice to you is don't pay money to anyone right now until you know officially that the borders will open. For July intake, we're not 100% sure right now, and I don't think we will call it just yet. So don't pay anyone any fees Just don't do anything. Have an alternate plan, and then if the borders open and if you know that in the next couple of months, if the borders will open in July, then at that point you will be able to come. We have a gut feeling that students may be some of the earlier people to be allowed to come to New Zealand, because since for studying in New Zealand you tend to stay for a longer amount of time than just the tourists. Then at that point, going on quarantine or doing this kind of things may be the right, maybe okay for you guys to do. But there will also be some extra cost, because if you do have to go into quarantine, the cost is 3,100 New Zealand dollars, and that will be charged for those 14 days. So just be aware of that. But please do not pay money to anyone right now. We've heard that so many times. Some fee not be refunded for cancellation, all that. Do not pay money to anyone. Yeah. You do not have any official information that the border will be open, so do not pay money to anyone. I cannot make that more clear, but please don't pay money to anyone right now. And that's valid for anyone. Don't pay money for visas or anything like that. Do not do even the immigration New Zealand fees, because they do have the right, if your visa is not issued, to keep your fee. It's legal in New Zealand, so do not pay fees to anyone until you know that the borders are opening, and then at that point you can start doing your process.
Yeah.
I'm being a bit stern right now, but I just want to make that really clear, because we receive stories on a weekly basis of people that pay stuff and they don't get their refund, and it's very, sad.
Yeah, and Immigration New Zealand do take the fee from your application really early on, as soon as they receive it. Yeah, as soon as they receive it, they take the fee. But that doesn't mean that they're processing it. It's just, they want their money quickly.
All right, so Sumit say, I am Sumit. I hold a post-study work visa for New Zealand. I am stuck in India since February 2020. I want to return back to New Zealand. Is there any updates? We will post an update video this week, so that's good. And if you want to rewind the video, during the first half an hour of the video, we talked about a couple of times about that. And so I give some a bit of updates, but it's not good news, so I don't want to repeat it. But otherwise, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We will post, those border prediction videos. We will post a brand new update this week with a ton of updates in there, but they're not good news. Sorry. Clay, which is in Dunedin in South Island, he says, my sister-in-law just went back to Uruguay last week and had to fly Auckland, Melbourne, Qatar, Brazil, Uruguay. Wow. She left Saturday our time, Monday our time. When we went New Zealand to Chile to Uruguay, the price or time I'd rather pay more and get there as soon as possible. Yeah, you know what? I totally agree with you. Like this, what you described, like flying an Auckland, Melbourne, Qatar, Brazil, and then arriving in Uruguay. That sounds like the biggest nightmare in my life right now. It just takes such a physical toll. Honestly, it's not worth. And sometimes, honestly, real story, right? Flying to New Zealand, I was at the Auckland airport waiting to show your passport and immigration, everything to get into Auckland, right? And you know how it is, you chat with people that you saw in the plane and everything. You kind of make like airport friends, which, are friends that you never see again. Mm-hmm. But, so I was chatting with the guy, which was my airport friend. And he was talking to me and he was like super budget conscious. Like the first thing that he kind of asked me was like, how much you pay for your flight and everything? It was kind of really weird how he was all about that money, right? And so I think at the time I paid for my flight for about $850, right? And it was like, oh, I only paid like $835 for my flight and everything. And I was like, oh, that's pretty good. You saved $15. That's great. And we discussed a little bit about our itineraries, right? And he came from Germany and I came from, I can't remember where. But so he came from Germany. And so we had basically the same length flight that we both had. But he actually took an extra 13 hours than me to actually do the whole flight. And he was super happy saving his $15. But if you consider that, in my head, I was just telling myself, he basically saved himself $1 per extra hour. There is nowhere in the world that you just earn $1 per hour anyway. And for such a massive physical tool, like it was exhausting and everything. I think it was absolutely ludicrous. So I'm really happy I paid my extra $15 now. I fly 13 hours less. And I think that is really important when you actually consider long haul flights. I mean, it's fine if you just fly, New Zealand to Australia or something. It's okay. But like long haul flight, we're talking crossing, the entire world. Try to make it short. I can tell you will thank me for telling you to spend a little extra money. I'm not telling you like to spend like, an extra $2,000 or something, but just like, if it's a matter of like $200 you spend the extra 200 for sure.
Yeah.
What do we have? Kashan says, thank you so much. Lots of love from India and Merry Christmas in advance. Oh, thank you very much. Merry Christmas. We haven't even done decoration here yet.
No.
So we are really behind this year. Nabonil says, thanks for the info about Singapore Airlines. Do you have any tips for booking the best flight? I read that you can get a 4-day transit for Singapore if you have a New Zealand visa. Have you ever tested that? I've tested that for places like Hong Kong and everything. It works very well. So actually, in some places, you don't even need to do the visa. You just need to have the right passport. So yeah, it works very well. And I think it's really awesome to do, especially Singapore, which is kind of such a small place. A fun tidbit of information to you about Singapore. In New Zealand, you probably know that there's a big lake in the North Island called Lake Taupo. It's the largest lake in the country, while the entire city of Singapore will fit in that just small lake alone. So if you get 4 days or even just 3 days in Singapore to explore, you're definitely going to be able to do a ton of things. Plus, just the airport alone looks amazing. So yeah, you may want to actually make the full use of that. Plus, it will help you deal with the jet lag. So definitely want to do that. Now, to find the best flight and to get the cheapest flight, Laura, we do have a video right now that we posted this week, right?
Yes, we did post a video this week, which is how to get a cheap flight to New Zealand, which gives all our tips on ways to just sort of shave off the costs when you're booking, different things that you can do, like very briefly, like having a more flexible date when you're booking, when using private browsing, for instance. Yeah, so there's a few tips there, and that video came out this week, so you'll find it very easily on the channel.
Here you go. And if you do want to have it in writing, we have NZPocketGuide.com right here. Boom. And you just go on NZPocketGuide. It's all free, so I'm not selling you anything. You go on NZPocketGuide.com, and in the search bar on top, you just type cheap flights, and you will find all our tips in writing with way more information than what we have the time to give you guys on video. So here you go. I don't know why it's not fitting in the screen today. There you go.
We have too much of the kiwi bird.
Yeah,
he's taking
too
all
much
the
of the kiwi
limelight.
bird. I just really wanted you guys to know that I actually named that kiwi bird. All right, Clay says, how do you keep a straight face with visa and border questions? You know what? It's just because, we're just taking it, the fact that we receive these questions, every live session that we do, we receive it like 5 or 6 times. And you know that because you watch the whole live session all the time, Clay, and I know that. But if I'm putting myself in the shoes of those people, they're already stressed, they want to come to New Zealand, they had life plans, and it all has been put on hold with COVID-19. And on top of that, there is a dire lack of information. So they show up in the live session and they show up on the 30-minute mark. So they haven't watched the first 30 minutes, they don't know just yet. And the title of the video says, ask us anything. So literally, they're prompted to ask those questions. So that's why we always take the time to actually give them a straight answer, even if that means repeating ourselves 5 or 6 times every single Sunday. It's okay, and we will keep doing it. And yes, sometimes we tell you, watch this other video. Sometimes we say rewind the videos. It's not because we're lazy or anything. It's just because, if we were to give you all this information for 20 minutes all the time, that's the only thing we would be doing. So we always give you some information, and we say just kind of get and watch that. And that's why we work so hard in giving you some update videos. And that's why we will have a full update video for you guys coming out this week. It's not going to be good news, but that's why we'll have a full update video for you guys this week. But yeah, straight face, sometimes we read some comments and we have to keep a straight face, but those questions, I just feel the desperation behind, and it mostly breaks our heart more than anything. Richard Travel says, great information on this live stream and great channel. Oh, you guys are nice. I like you. Agnes Ferry says, thank you guys for updating us. Keep it up. I am waiting patiently to meet my husband one day, no matter how long it will take. I believe nothing is permanent. Distance is not a barrier for my love to him. Oh, that is nice. Look at that. That's such a hopeful and loving message. I love that, Agnes. Oh, you rock. So keep subscribed, because we do have a full update for border openings and everything coming up this week. Clay says, to be honest, she didn't have much of a choice with the limited flight. He's talking about his sister-in-law that had to do a flight Auckland, Melbourne, Qatar, Brazil, Uruguay. So she said the trip cost more than her original return ticket. Yeah, wow. With COVID, like some flights are outrageously expensive. So yeah, no, I definitely feel
and
you.
with limited routes around the world at the moment, obviously, because a lot of planes are not in the air at the moment. So there are some crazy routes to get to different countries around the world. And Robin actually notices that when he's tracking his parcels, he's usually like, this parcel from the US is taking a round the world trip before it's getting to New Zealand.
Yeah, when you order something, it goes like, all the way to Japan and to this. Well, usually it's just a straight flight. It's kind of entertaining.
Yeah.
Risha Travels say they just subscribe and they're a YouTube creator as well. Well, here you go. If you guys want to check their channel as well, if you're into
travel.
Well, I guess it's travel. I hope it's travel, but yeah.
So
cool.
that's on point.
Yeah. Adrian Lace say, which city would you recommend living for someone who is moving to New Zealand for the first time? All for all those awesome tips. Love from Canada. Which city? So you will have to give us a little bit more context, I'll be honest with you, because there is obviously a bunch of cities in New Zealand. The one thing I will say is that don't consider Auckland. It's really expensive and it really doesn't represent what New Zealand is all about. So get something out there, So, but we can give you a few insights. If you're into cheap cost of living and easy job opportunities, Christchurch is a great place to live in, but you will need a car to be able to explore the rest of New Zealand, like the Banks Peninsula, Kaikoura, or the Southern Alps. If you're into very high cost of living and high competition for jobs and, having a lot of traffic to get out of there to be able to explore New Zealand, you may want to consider Auckland. As you can tell, I'm not a big fan of Auckland. If you are into the Maori cultures, awesome mountain biking, and you want to be centrally located around the North Island to be able to make the most of the North Island and all its volcano, Rotorua is a great place to live into. If you're into more of a beach setting and you want to, be able to have a bit more summer feel to your life, there's two places to consider. Tauranga is a great place to consider. It's on the North Island, or Nelson, which is on the north of the South Island, and it has the highest amount of sun hours in the year. If you're into a party town, which is not a city and extremely expensive to live into, you may want to consider Wanaka. If you want something less expensive and still a party town because it's a really big student area, student city, Dunedin is great. It's full of nearby wildlife with the Catlins and the Otago Peninsula. So if you're into wildlife, a bit of party, an old-ish city, Dunedin can be quite cool for you. If you want to go cold and go to a place where almost no one goes, Invercargill is a great place to live in. It's really cheap.
Very cheap, yeah.
Very cheap to live into. If you want a city feel and want something that really doesn't feel like a capital city, but is a capital city, very much a lot of administration work and everything, and a lot of culture and a lot of good food, Wellington is a great place to live into, and you're only a short ferry trip away to the South Island. But yeah, that's kind of a bit of an
overview.
Yeah, an overview of a few cities. But obviously, Adrian, we do need some context in order to give you more information on those. But I hope that those helped you. Now I need to catch my breath, Laura. You read from here.
Okay. Yeah, that was pretty impressive. So Raymath Sana says, dude, this is directed at you, I think. So, dude, please tell me, when are the NZ borders going to open, as my fiance is stuck in New Zealand and couldn't come to India to get married to me, and I'm really into depression because of this COVID situation.
Well, you know what? Rather than seeing the bad part of this situation, what about you? You are being thankful and just happy about the fact that it happened in 2020 when we have so many ways to connect, at least digitally. Picture that happening 50 years ago. That would have been a real nightmare. So I feel like we really and I know your situation is pretty bad, right? But think about that, like. How lucky are we that we can see each other's face at the push of a button right now? So it happened at what could be, and I know it's not nice to say, but that could be one of the best times that this happened.
Yeah,
we are actually still able to connect. So don't be depressed.
Yeah.
Now, as per when the borders will open, we will have a full video that's going to come out this week with a lot of predictions and everything. But it will take, it probably will take about a month. A year. So yeah, just keep that in mind. But yeah, check out the channel this week. So maybe you want to hit subscribe so you get a notification when that comes out, and we will have a lot of information. We've done a lot of research. It's going to be, another 15 to 20 minutes where we're going to be talking and giving you bam, 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 a lot of info and a lot of train of thought behind our predictions. But so far, as far as official opening date, there is nothing.
No.
Rohit says, any update for offshore new international? Can you read that?
So Rohit says, any update for offshore new international students, those want to study in New Zealand? So again, same answer. There's been no official information of when the borders are opening, whether it's to visitors, international students, anyone across the board, and basically anyone overseas. The borders aren't currently open to people overseas from New Zealand. So yeah, and there hasn't been any official news, but like Robin says, we will be doing our prediction video this week, so we can give you maybe just sort of an idea of our personal opinions when we think the borders might open. But as you can see from our past videos, we have had to do some updates. It's an ever-evolving situation.
It's guesses, yeah.
So yeah, it's hard to say at this point, but in short, no official information of when the borders are opening.
So Nabonian says, did you guys decide on a white-blue background argument for the sign? So if you guys remember, I was asking you guys if you prefer blue or white. I feel like the vast majority of people were choosing the blue one. So yes, we decided to stick with blue. We also had another argument, which was what should be the name of that kiwi bird, and that's what decided as well. It's Whitbeaks. Yeah. So here you go. All arguments were decided in last month.
So since the whole COVID thing's been happening, there's kind of been less sort of talk about traveling in New Zealand because people can't currently travel to New Zealand, and more talking about
the New Zealand culture.
Well, no, talking about the props going on.
Oh yeah, the props, yeah.
Talking about the props that are going on in our videos. So we got a lot of interest in this kiwi bird that has actually been in the background of our live videos for a very long time.
Well, we've done that's the live video 104. So this has been the background of video for 104 times, but only in the last couple of weeks you guys have been talking about it. So
yeah, and now people are talking about our sign. So yeah, we can really see how the conversation has shifted during these COVID-19 times.
But we still one thing that we are really thankful about, though, and I know Thanksgiving is past, so we shouldn't be thankful anymore, but we're still going to be really thankful. And I know the internet loves negativity and not positivity, but that doesn't matter to us. Something that we're really thankful about is that you guys are still asking us a lot of questions about traveling in New Zealand. Yes. You guys are still interacting with us about what this channel is actually about, which is traveling in New Zealand. You're asking us, Arthur's cow was asking us about, traveling with kids in Stewart Island, and Clay last time was asking us, because he's a local and he was planning a trip onto the north and asking us some questions. And you guys are still planning your actual trip to New Zealand. We still get to talk about the awesome activities that there is to do when you visit New Zealand, and we're really thankful for that. We were talking about it last time, and I just want you guys to know that much love. Thank you.
Yeah.
Damien says Christmas is coming, and I will catch up on the 365 days around New Zealand. Stewart Island. Yes. There is actually how many?
I think 3 or 4 days. Is it on Stewart
Island? So there is about 5 videos of Stewart Island. So yeah, we do some flights, we do some carving, we do some hiking, we go check out Stewart Island, we go check out the little museum, Ulva Island story.
We go see a show at the cinema, because there's even a little cinema on Stewart Island.
And you see the ferry back and forth and everything. So we do quite a lot. So yeah, I think you're going to enjoy our coverage of Stewart Island. But yeah, you can start on day one and you'd see us, you will see us also learning video editing as well as it goes.
Yeah.
And and you see us way too excited about everything. We scream too much because we're way too excited.
Yeah.
Michael Connell says, any more thoughts on the bumper stickers like the sign? Yes, you were talking about it. So I looked into it. I may just do some of those, but I don't know how to kind of distribute it. Yeah, that's the stuff. So yeah, I don't really know how to sort that out, but yeah. Leo says, hey, good morning guys, how are you doing? Pretty awesome. Good. We've been hanging out with awesome people for the last 57 minutes talking about New Zealand. So yeah, it's always a good start of the Sunday. How are you doing, Leo? The world of education is your choice. Say awesome guys.
Cool.
I love that name. It's just it's so powerful. I love that. Emilio is talking about Nelson City, probably during the recommendation I was giving to Adrian.
Although Robin was going through that quite fast, he did mention Nelson City in all that. So yes, that is a really cool city to go live in as well.
MB 1968 NZ, which is a local from Wellington, says, I've started distributing my Manuka COVID vaccine. The border open.
That's funny.
Don't believe that, guys. But that would be, you know what? I actually take my Manuka COVID biting every morning. I do really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And he's happy about Weet-Bix.
Yay! Did you vote for Weet-Bix, MB?
Well, since he's the one that started it all,
I'm pretty sure he
better
did.
has.
Yeah.
Better have. So yeah, you won over me, MB. Congratulations. This kiwi bird now has a name tag, a Weet-Bix. Look at the face.
Yeah, we are so happy about it.
Laura is delighted, I have to say. Damien says that he prefers the blue, so that's awesome. Zainab says, when are the borders opening? Well, the good news for you, Zainab, is that we have a full video with our new predictions. So nothing official has been announced, but a full video with our full predictions coming up this week. So if you hit the subscribe button, you will see that coming. And yeah, we will give you all our train of thought behind all our predictions, but they are going to be pushed way back. So nothing before, in our opinion, obviously, nothing before the last few months, the last quarter of 2021 at the earliest, in our opinion. Obviously, we want to be wrong. But yeah, make sure to subscribe. You get the full video with all our train of thoughts and everything. Adrian says, I want to go on a student working holiday sometime next year. Christchurch looks very affordable, but I also really want to be close to nature. What about Queenstown? Queenstown is very expensive.
In terms of,
there is not much studying option in Queenstown, so it's probably a flat no.
Yeah,
a student wouldn't be able to afford to live in Queenstown, and studying wise, there is very limited options.
Yeah, I think the only sort of education facilities in Queenstown is kind of like how to learn English type things, and like language schools I've seen over there. But yeah, in terms of universities and stuff, there isn't a university at Queenstown. There may be some sort of branches from other universities, but it's definitely not a student town.
MB says bumper stickers on the RV there yet. I don't know what that means. MB, I'm completely lost.
If he's referring to the bumper stickers that Michael was talking about, maybe it's something along those lines. But yeah, we haven't got any bumper stickers for any sort of vehicles ready.
Anthony comes to us, says, stay safe and have a nice week, but I am here until the end. Oh yeah, it's almost the end already. Every time, so I don't know if you guys know, but Anthony is in California. And every single week he's showing up, he's watching the whole video, and every time he's the one that kind of tell me when the live session is almost over. I kind of always forget to check the time. Leo says, I'm great. Nice to hear. I hope you're staying safe. Nabonil said, haha, shout out to Weet-Bix. On a serious note, what trouble can I expect in immigration if I have to bring medicines for a long duration? There are some strong limits. It's not going to be with immigration. It's going to be with customs. That's a completely different branch, and that's not even the same step at the airport. And you may want to check out NZPocketGuide.com and just type the word prescriptions on the search bar, and we have a full article on there that actually lists all the requirements and how much prescription you can take in and everything like that. So there is a lot of like numbers, and obviously we don't have them in our heads just yet. The main thing that you can keep in mind is that you can most of the stuff you can only bring 3 months worth of your medicine. But yeah, check out on the website. There is literally all the information you need on there with everything in numbers, and you can literally copy and paste and have it written.
Yeah.
Prem and Nando says bye Weet-Bix. Nice, bye. Harish says, what about the visa border opening date? International students India use COVID vaccine in New Zealand. Okay, so we addressed all that in the first half an hour of the live session, so you may want to just rewind, and we talked about all that. Plus, we have our border opening predictions coming up this week, so you may want to subscribe. We have literally a full video with all our predictions for the border opening. Michael Connell said, should you work out stickers? Happy to PM my address and pay via Messenger. I have the perfect space in our camper. I will work this one out. I will try to work this one out. Martina says, looking for your Christmas decoration next week. Bye and stay healthy. Well, do we have to decorate behind us? Okay, well,
we can try.
We'll try something.
Yeah.
Sean Davis says, when is the best place to find updates on borders? So you can check out the Immigration New Zealand website. That's immigration.govt.nz. And you can check out Radio New Zealand, which is R for Robin, N for New, and Z for Zealand, .co.nz. So that's a really good source of information. It's kind of like a kind of news media, basically. So that's the two places where you will be able to find some of the best information. If you want some educated guesses and educated predictions, on this channel, when we do have enough information, we actually release a video. So far we released 4 of them with our predictions and our train of thought behind it and a bit of an analytics. And we will do that again this week. So you may want to subscribe and you'll see our videos and we'll explain our train of thought. And we make sure to tell you guys that this is not news. This is literally just our prediction, but just to kind of give you some understanding about the situation in New Zealand. So that would be the 3 places I check out, and in this order: Immigration New Zealand first for sure, Radio New Zealand second, and maybe us if you want something a bit more speculative and giving a bit more of an understanding of what information we get.
Yep.
MB said this was pretty informative how Robin rattled off restrictions around medicines. You're very welcome, MB. Leo says, in your opinion, what's the most beautiful city in the South Island and in the North Island? Okay, we're going to do a quick pick because then we have to wrap it up. You pick North Island, I pick South Island.
Okay.
What's the most beautiful city in the North Island?
The most beautiful city is
the most
New Plymouth, because you get views of Mount Taranaki and you get the beach. Pretty cool.
Okay, I love wildlife, so if I have to pick, it's not really a city, it's a town, but I will pick Kaikoura because
I picked a city.
Okay, fine.
The
A city. Dunedin is a really beautiful city because first it's kind of old and Scottish. It has a very different feel than most of the other cities in New Zealand, and it's very close to the Otago Peninsula that has fantastic wildlife, and very close to the Catlins, which is the best place for a road trip ever.
Yeah.
So here you go. That's a definitive statement. So here you go.
There you go.
So I picked Dunedin for the South Island, and she picks New Plymouth for the North Island.
Yeah.
Kamikaze Rob 505 says, I'm in a relationship with a New Zealand citizen, but I still got declined for critical purpose. I don't know how else to get to New Zealand. The only thing you can do right now is wait and see. It happens. There's many other people in your situation, and just wait and see. And, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Nabonil says, have you considered doing a physical copy of the NZ Travel Guide to buy on Amazon? You could do it in a Lonely Planet style. Yeah, we thought about it, but honestly, I feel like I travel with my phone. I don't travel with a book. So I feel like, making it available to you guys at all time, at any time, on we felt it was more useful. But let's be honest, during those COVID times where we have a bit more time on our hand, we did talk about it quite a fair bit. So, it's never a flat no. It's just, perhaps.
Yeah, we keep coming back to the question and asking ourselves, should we do a book? But yeah, it usually comes back down to maybe more people seem to like going on the website or listening on YouTube at the moment.
All right, guys. So thank you so much for joining us for another week. We will be back next week at the exact same time. There's a link in the description below with everything you need to know with the time in your country, a link to our next stuff. It's going to be the 105th live session with you guys. In the meantime, if you want to check our brain 24/7, if you want to pick our brain 24/7, NZPocketGuide.com. It's free and it's the largest travel guide to New Zealand ever written. And we do have some fun videos coming up soon. So yeah, here you go. And if you are currently in New Zealand, if you're one of the people of New Zealand like Rahul that I made a video about yesterday, feel free to reach out to me on Facebook. So you just find NZ Pocket Guide on Facebook. You give us a cheeky like if you want to, but you send me a message and we sort out the time to chat. I would love to tell your story of what you love about New Zealand. In the meantime, all of you guys, you stay safe. Stay off social media. It's a bit nonsense. There's a lot of misinformation there. Keep dreaming about New Zealand, and be kind to each other. And we'll see you next week. Okay. Bye-bye.
See you next week.
Aloha, Mikey Mariano. I love that you changed your name. Aloha. And MB asked me if I have any skills. I don't have any skills.
No, it's just a flat no.
Yeah, I'm just a bubbling head. That's all.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.